Welcome to Schooling. CBSE Class 10 Social Science Geography Chapter 1 Resource and Development. Resources. Everything which is found in our environment which can be used to satisfy our needs and is technologically accessible, economically feasible and culturally acceptable is termed as resource. Human beings themselves are essential components of resources. They change the material available in the environment into resources and use them. The interdependent relationship between nature, technology and institutions. From the physical environment, we are taking up the resources with the help of technology by the institutions. The interdependent relationship between nature, technology and institutions. Technologically accessible, economically feasible, culturally acceptable. This is only termed as a resource. Through technology, with the help of the institutions, from the physical environment or the nature, humans are extracting resources. We need technology to access resources, for example, mining a gold or diamond. We do not know at which area or depth we would be getting those resources. We need humans, technology to access it from nature. It should be economical also for us, otherwise there is no use in accessing that resource. Classification of resources. Resources can be classified in the following ways. On the basis of origin, biotic and abiotic, on the basis of exhaustibility, renewable and non-renewable, on the basis of ownership, individual, community, national and international, on the basis of the status of development, potential, developed stock and reserves. So shall we see about the classification of resources? Resources can be broadly classified into natural and human resources. Natural resources can be further classified into renewable and non-renewable resources. Renewable resources are replenishable. So renewable resources can be further classified into continuous or flow. Example, wind, water, etc. Renewable resources are subdivided as continuous and biological. These biological resources are further classified into natural vegetation, that is forests and wildlife. Again, non-renewable resources are further subdivided into recyclable, that is metals, and non-recyclable, example fossil fuels. Human resources are classified into structures and institutions and quantity and quality. So biotic and abiotic resources. Shall we see what is a biotic resource? Biotic resources are obtained from the biosphere and that which has life. Like examples we can quote as human beings, flora and fauna, fisheries, livestock, etc. So we have divided this biotic and abiotic resources on the basis of origin. Abiotic resources are those resources which are composed of non-living things. Example, rocks and metals. So this picture denotes some of the living things and non-living things for your reference. Living things include plants, animals, bacteria, fungus, protists, etc. Some of the non-living things are soil, air, minerals, light, water, etc. On the basis of exhaustibility, resources are classified into renewable and non-renewable resources. The resources which can be renewed or reproduced by physical, chemical or mechanical processes are known as renewable or replenishable resources. The renewable resource may be further divided into continuous or flow. For example, solar and wind energy, water, forests and wildlife. This can be renewed again and again. So it is called as renewable resources. What are non-renewable resources? Non-renewable resources occur over a very long geological time. It takes so much of time for them to form. These resources take millions of years in their formation. Some of the resources like metals and recyclable, and some like fossil fuels cannot be recycled and get exhausted with their use. Example, minerals and fossil fuels. Renewable and non-renewable energy. Renewable energy, wind energy, geothermal energy, water, biomass and solar energy are some of the examples of renewable energy. Non-renewable energy, oil, natural gas, coal, nuclear, all these are some of the examples of non-renewable energy. On the basis of ownership, resources are further classified into individual, community, national and international resources. Individual resources are owned privately by individuals. In villages, people own lands, whereas in urban areas, people own plots, houses and other properties. Example, plantation, pasture lands, ponds, water in wells, etc. Community owned resources. Community owned resources are accessible to all the members of the community. They are not confined to any private individual. Example, grazing grounds, burial grounds, public parks, picnic spots, playgrounds, etc. National resources. National resources are owned by a nation or country. All the minerals, water resources, forests, wildlife, land within the political boundaries and oceanic area up to 12 nautical miles, that is 22.2 km from the coast, are termed as territorial water and the resources therein belong to the nation. Example, roads, canals, railways, etc. International resources. International resources are regulated by international institutions. The oceanic resources beyond 200 nautical miles of the exclusive economic zone belong to open ocean, and no individual country can utilize these without the concurrence of international institutions. On the basis of the status of development, resources are classified into potential, developed, stock and reserves. Potential resources are the resources which are found in a region but have not been utilized so far. Example, Rajasthan and Gujarat have enormous potential for the development of wind and solar energy, but so far these have not been developed properly. Developed resources. Resources which are surveyed and their quality and quantity have been determined for utilization. The development of resources depends on technology and level of their feasibility. Stocks and reserves. Materials that are found in the environment which have the potential to satisfy human needs, but human beings do not have the appropriate technology to access these, are called stock. Example, hydrogen can be used as a rich source of energy, but we do not have the advanced technology to use it. Reserves are the subset of the stock which can be put into use with the help of existing technical know-how, but their use has not been started. These can be used for meeting future requirements. Example, water in the dams, forests, etc. is a reserve which can be used in the future. Development of resources. Resources have been used by human beings indiscriminately, and this has led to the following major problems. Depletion and exploitation of the resources indiscriminately for satisfying the greed of a few individuals. Accumulation of resources in few hands, which in turn has divided the society into two segments, that is the rich and poor. It has led to global ecological crises such as global warming, ozone layer depletion, environmental pollution and land degradation. Sustainable economic development. Resource planning is essential for the sustainable existence of all forms of life. Sustainable economic development means development should take place without damaging the environment, and development in the present should not compromise with the needs of the future generations. We have borrowed the world from our ancestors, and we should hand it over to the future generation very carefully without damaging it. Resource planning. In India, there are some regions which can be considered self-sufficient in terms of the availability of resources, and there are some regions which have acute shortage of some vital resources. This calls for balanced resource planning at the national, state, regional and local levels. Resource planning in India. Resource planning is a complex process which involves identification and inventory of resources across the regions of the country. This involves surveying, mapping, qualitative and quantitative estimation and measurement of the resources, evolving a planning structure endowed with appropriate technology, skill and institutional setup for implementing resource development plans, matching the resource development plans with overall national development plans. Resource planning in India. Resources would contribute to an overall development only when they are accompanied by appropriate technological development and institutional changes. India has made concerted efforts towards achieving the goals of resource planning right from the first 5-year plan launched after independence. To overcome indiscriminate usage, irrational consumption and overutilization or depletion of resources, resource conservation at various levels is important. Land distribution. 43% of the land is under the distribution of plains. 27% of the land is under plateaus. 30% of the land is under mountains. Land resources. Land is a natural resource of utmost importance. It supports natural vegetation, wildlife, human life, economic activities, transport and communication systems. India has land under a variety of relief features, namely mountains, plateaus, plains and islands. Land utilization. Land resources are used for the following purposes: forests, land not available for cultivation, barren and wasteland, land put to non-agricultural uses, fallow lands, other uncultivated lands excluding fallow land, and net sown area. Land use pattern in India. The use of land is determined. Physical factors such as topography, climate, soil types. Human factors such as population, density, technological capability, culture and tradition, etc. Land use pattern. The area under forest, barren and unculturable wasteland, area under non-agricultural uses, permanent pastures and grazing land, area under miscellaneous tree, crops and groves, net sown area, current fallow land other than current fallow land, culturable wasteland have been categorized in this picture. Wasteland. Wasteland is the land put to other non-agricultural uses which include rocky, arid and desert areas, roads, railways, industry, etc. Continuous use of land over a long period of time without taking appropriate measures to conserve and manage it has resulted in land degradation. Land degradation and conservation measures. Human activities such as deforestation, overgrazing, mining and quarrying have contributed significantly to land degradation. Mining sites leave deep scars and traces of overburdening the land. In recent years, industrial effluents as waste have become a major source of land and water pollution in many parts of the country. Afforestation. Some of the ways through which we can solve the problems of land degradation are afforestation, that is, planting more trees, and proper management of grazing. Planting of shelter belts of plants is very important. Discharge of wastewater. Stabilization of sand dunes by growing thorny bushes, proper management of wastelands, control of mining activities, and proper discharge and disposal of industrial effluents and wastes after treatment should be made out. Soil as a resource. Soil is the most important renewable natural resource. It is the medium of plant growth and supports different types of living organisms on the earth. It takes millions of years to form soil up to a few centimeters in depth. Various forces of nature such as change in temperature, actions of running water, wind and glaciers, activities of decomposers, etc. contribute to the formation of soil. Parent rock or bedrock, climate, vegetation and other forms of life and time are important factors in the formation of soil. Chemical and organic changes which take place in the soil play an important role. Soil also consists of organic, humus and inorganic materials. Classification of soils. Soils of India are classified in different types. We will discuss about the different types of soil in detail. They are classified based on the factors responsible for soil formation, color, thickness, texture, age, chemical and physical properties. Alluvial soils. The entire northern plains are made up of alluvial soil. The alluvial soil is deposited by three important Himalayan river systems, the Indus, the Ganga and the Brahmaputra. Classification of soils. The alluvial soil is also found in Rajasthan, Gujarat and eastern coastal plains, particularly in the deltas of the Mahanadi, the Godavari, the Krishna and the Kaveri rivers. The alluvial soil consists of various proportions of sand, silt and clay. As we move inland towards the river valleys, soil particles appear to be bigger in size, whereas in the upper side of the river valley, the soils are coarse. Based on age, alluvial soils can be classified as old alluvial and new alluvial. Old alluvial. The Bangar. The Bangar soil has a higher concentration of Canker nodules than the Khadar. New alluvial. The Khadar. It has more fine particles and is more fertile than the Bangar. Alluvial soils are very fertile. These soils contain an adequate proportion of potash, phosphoric acid and lime, which are ideal for the growth of sugarcane, paddy, wheat and other cereal and pulse crops. Black soil. This soil is black in color and is also known as Regur soil. Climatic conditions along with the parent rock material are the important factors for the formation of black soil. The soil is ideal for growing cotton and is also known as black cotton soil. This type of soil is typical on the Deccan Trap region spread over the northwest Deccan Plateau and is made up of lava flows. The soil covers the plateaus of Maharashtra, Saurashtra, Malwa, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh and extends in the southeast direction along the Godavari and the Krishna valleys. The black soils are made up of extremely fine, that is clayey material and well known for their capacity to hold moisture. Black soil is nutrient rich and contains calcium carbonate, magnesium, potash and lime. The soil is sticky when wet and difficult to work on unless tilled immediately after the first shower or during the pre-monsoon period. Red and yellow soils. This type of soil develops on crystalline igneous rocks in areas of low rainfall in the eastern and southern parts of the Deccan Plateau. These soils develop a reddish color due to the diffusion of iron in crystalline and metamorphic rocks. It looks yellow when it occurs in a hydrated form. These are found in parts of Odisha, Chhattisgarh, southern parts of the middle Ganga plain and along the Piedmont zone of the Western Ghats. This picture gives you an idea of red and yellow soils. Laterite soil. The laterite soil develops under the tropical and subtropical climate with the alternate wet and dry seasons. This soil is the result of intense leaching due to heavy rain. Laterite soils are acidic in nature and generally deficient in plant nutrients. This type of soil is found mostly in southern states, Western Ghats region of Maharashtra, Odisha, some parts of West Bengal and northeast regions. The soil supports deciduous and evergreen forests but humus poor. This soil is very useful for growing tea and coffee. Arid soils. Arid soils range from red to brown in color. This soil is generally sandy in texture and saline in nature. In some areas, the salt content is very high and common salt is obtained by evaporating the water. Arid soil lacks humus and moisture. The lower horizons of the soil are occupied by the canker because of the increasing calcium content downwards. The canker layer formations in the bottom horizons restrict the infiltration of water. Forest soil. These soils are found in the hilly and mountainous areas. The soil texture is loamy and silty in valley sides and coarse grained in the upper slopes. In the snow-covered areas of Himalayas, these soils experience denudation and are acidic with low humus content. The soil is fertile on the river terraces and alluvial plains. Major soil types in India. We can find forest and mountainous soil in Jammu and Kashmir, arid soil in Rajasthan, laterite soil in the eastern Ghats, black soil in Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh, red and yellow soil in the southern states, and alluvial soil in the Punjab plains. Soil erosion and soil conservation. The denudation of the soil cover and subsequent washing down is described as soil erosion. That is the removal of the soil cover. The soil erosion is caused due to human activities like deforestation, overgrazing, construction and mining, etc. After mining, the sites are just left as such open. Also, there are some natural forces like wind, glacier and water which lead to soil erosion. Soil erosion is also caused due to defective methods of farming. The running water cuts through the clayey soils and makes deep channels called as gullies. The land becomes unfit for cultivation and is known as bad land. When water flows as a sheet over large areas down a slope and the topsoil is washed away, it is known as sheet erosion. Wind blows loose soil off flat or sloping land known as wind erosion. Different ways for soil conservation. Plowing along the contour lines decelerate the flow of water down the slopes. This is called as contour plowing. We can see it clearly in the picture. The water will be flowing down along the contour lines. Terrace cultivation. Terrace cultivation restricts erosion. This type of agriculture is practiced in western and central Himalayas. This is shown in the picture. Strip cropping. A large field is divided into strips. Strips of grass are left to grow between the crops. Then this breaks up the force of the wind. This method is known as strip cropping. Shelter belts. Planting lines of trees to create shelter helps in the stabilization of sand dunes and in stabilizing the desert in western India. Rows of such trees are called shelter belts. We have come to the end of this chapter. I hope my session would have been interesting and useful to you. Follow Schooling on YouTube for more videos on social science, economics and sociology. Like, share, comment and subscribe my channel. Thank you.